Hello, everybody. This is DFS Chan coming to you here live to talk about tomorrow morning's LCK slate, League of Legends DFS slate. It's another two-game slate, but we are still very happy. Should be blessed that we have League of Legends DFS back. We started last weekend with the LEC slates. Now we're back with these two-game LCK slates to begin the season with. But this weekend we're gonna have LEC, LCS slates, but also we will have LCK and then LPL starts next week. So we're gonna be in the full throttle mode starting next week or rather this weekend, I guess. So it's gonna be a fun one. I think I'm treating these as kind of a warm up, for the next 10 months that we're gonna have League of Legends DFS slates for a while. So yeah, I mean, so if I don't recommend going too crazy in terms of your bankroll. There are a lot of things that could happen, early in the season. Teams are new, rosters new, coaching is new, and the patch on the game in the game is a little different as well. So everyone's trying to get used to the new game and new environment and so forth. So, but somebody's got to make the money, right? So I'm glad. Yesterday, just as a quick recap, let me pull up what I posted yesterday. Oh, this is for today. Anyway, I'll go through it maybe here this way. Um, we had a two-game slate yesterday, or rather this morning. I picked Nongshim Red Force to beat DRX, and they did. But unfortunately, T1 kind of slacked off. It looked like they just didn't have a good grasp of the new patch in the game. They really lost out on a lot of opportunities against Genji, and Genji ended up taking that series. And they ended up being the optimal long stack for the slate this morning. I mentioned that T1 Genji matchup was going to be a higher in kill upside, just looking at the metrics from last year and so forth, and the tendencies compared to Nongshim Red Force and DRX. So hopefully that helped you guys, and that helped me as well to kind of recoup some money when I was heavy on T1. So I lost some, but not everything. Fortunately, I was able to cash in double ups and everything there with Nongshim Red Force over DRX. So I think it was a sharp call, I'd like to believe there, just based on the continuity. But Genji actually showed up yesterday, so we'll see how today's slate pans out. So that was a quick recap. So as you can tell, like on these two-game slates, you kind of have to have a conviction as to first who you think will win in those matchups, and two, what do you think the kill upside is going to be for each of the respective matchups. I take a look at the combined kills per minute from last year, but obviously the rosters are different, as you can see here. I'll go through each one of them now. But it's just a general rule as to what you should be looking at when you're comparing the kill upside and how fast these teams play. And I'll show you how I go about doing that. So the first matchup today is Fredit Brion, maybe? Is it different now? I think, yeah, it's like something else, Brion. But Bro versus D plus Kia. We have Brion projected as probably the worst team in the LCK. That's unfortunate, but that's what I have. I do think DRX, who played this morning, is one of the worst as well, just looking at the roster. But Fred and Brion, I think this roster is not very good. Period. I mean, their main player last year for Fred and Brion was UMTI at jungle. I thought he was the carry and engine of the team, but he's gone and now is replaced by Gideon. You guys probably know Gideon if you played DFS League of Legends DFS last year. Now I mean, he's not a scrub, but he's not. I think he's a below average jungler in the LCK comparatively. So I think this is a downgrade compared to UMT. And you guys know how much emphasis I put on the jungling position. So I think it's a downgrade for the jungle position, but also a downgrade for the whole team. We have Envy joining as a new player for Brian at AD carry as well. Now they'll need time to get used to playing together with effort at support and Gideon at jungle. I mentioned this yesterday, but I'll say it again. In the current patch, the new patch, I think the jungle AD carry support team synergy is very important, and you saw that this morning with Notion Red Force with Jiwoo and Peter. You know, they were on the same page most of the times, whereas Teddy, he was not. I really like that here for D plus Kia. Lucid has been called up. We saw him once or twice last year in the LCK, but he mostly played in the challengers or academy level for the team. Um, there has been a lot of hype about Lucid, and the metrics show that he was one of the best junglers in the LCK Challengers level. And I'll show you this right here, LCK Challengers, and you go to the summer from last year, and you sort it by jungle to see like what his EGPM is, and you see it. I mean, he is at the top, and this is kind of what I saw early today when I was looking at some metrics. I mean, he finished top first, like tied for first with Grizzly. And you saw Grizzly starting at jungle for Hanwha Life after there were some issues with Clid, I think it was. But yeah, so Lucid, you see, like, he's good. He's a good player. And I do think it'll be hard to replace Canyon. Where did my screen go? There you go. But I think he's gonna fit in really well. With I think he's gonna synergize really well with Showmaker, and especially in the bottom lane. I think aiming, who obviously is better than Envy, and then Kellen is a question mark for me a bit, but I think Lucid aiming Kellen is better than Gideon and Envy and Effort. So that combination, along with Showmaker being better in the mid lane than Karis. Kingan versus Morgan. Kingan is probably better, obviously, but not by as much as for the other laning matchups. So overall, yeah, I mean, I have D plus Kia winning almost. Not, I mean, I wouldn't say almost guaranteed because anything can happen, but D plus Kia really should win this at many levels. I just think individually they're better. I think in terms of team synergy, they played together more comparatively, whereas like Lucid, like I said, was at the challenger level, played with some of the guys at D plus Kia first team. And I think aiming is a question mark, but he's a veteran. Like he comes from KT. He I think he will fit in right away. I think it's more of a Lucid and Kellen roaming, with Lucid in the jungle, as you saw Lehens do it for Genji this morning. Um, I have some doubt on that because I think he's about an average player, but I just don't think effort is that good either. So kind of evens out. So I think D plus Kia should win this. I have this matchup lower in kill upside. I think the total kills over under is set at 21. Last time I checked. So let's look at that real quick. Yeah, 21. So that's fairly low. I mean, we know Breon likes to play slow. At least they did last year. But obviously they have a new roster. But we still have Morgan, Karis, and Effort. It's just a jungler. Let's see how fast Gideon like to play. So I'll go through LCK right here. This is how I look at stats when I want to kind of compare the stats amongst the players at that position. I'll go to LCK Summer. You see Grizzly, like I said, he played in the LCK level. Who was Lucid's number were just as good as Grizzly. So let's look at this. We have Peanut, Cuz, Canyon. We have Umti toward the bottom. Interesting. Yeah. I want to see how fast they played as well. So Breon. So you see here 0.78 all the way in 0.7s, and then there's OK Savings Bank Breon 0.59. I think that will continue unless they like completely change the way that they want to change their identity, which they could. I mean, they just did not have a good season last year, so maybe they'll try to be more aggressive and try to make plays and initiate. But D plus K also likes to play a clean match, in my opinion, just based on how I've seen Showmaker likes to or prefers his matchups. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a one-sided matchup, and I think that will reduce the kill upside there as well. I think I like the second matchup much better in terms of kill upside, so I am willing to go there that this is the short stack is gonna come from this matchup. So that's where I have it. All right, the second matchup of the slate is KT versus Fox. So Fox is an interesting one. They just kind of changed their name from Live Sandbox. You know, they have the same team members from last year, except for the bottom lane. Henna, I think, used to play for OK Savings Breon. Now coming over to Live Sandbox or Fox into the bottom lane. Now they have Clear, Willer, Closer. Closer, I mean, it's a good player, up and down quite a bit, but has potential. Former T1 player who used to start over Faker at times. Willer is not a bad player either at jungle. I like him quite a bit. Now, I actually have him about as even as Piosek, who is going to be the opposing jungler in that role. Piosek, I mean, he's obviously he's won the worlds with DRX, and that was great. I mean, he's a solid player. Last year, I think his form has gone down. I was not impressed with his form last year, so maybe he'll have a bounce back year this year. But in a new team for KT, we'll see how he pans out. KT had a really successful season last year. They really should have gone further in the worlds, but now they have revamped their team. They got rid of Keen, the old timer top laner, with Perfect, and Perfect actually has gotten a lot of hype and rave reviews about him as well in the top lane. So I do think he's a good player. I looked at the metrics as well. Kind of do it at the end. But I like Perfect here as well over Clear. And Piosik, like I said, is a big question mark. I still think he is an average jungler. I know there are certain like champions that he likes to play and he's really good at, including Kindred. But Kindred's not in the meta right now, and the type of champions that he likes to play, Lee Sin, Kindred, maybe Lee Sin, but not so much Kindred. I just don't think the meta really fits his style of play. So I think it kind of reduces his impact around the map for KT and BDD. And Theft Barrel joined KT in the bottom lane, which obviously they are a hype, veteran duo coming in. I'm sure they will be just fine in the bottom lane, along with BDD in the mid lane. This is an old team, like Piosik, BDD, Deft, and Barrel. So, and then they have a Perfect, the young up and coming young player in the top lane, which it's similar for T1. Like you had when he first joined the T1 starting team, A team. And then the rest of the players were kind of much older than him. So I think that's kind of what they're getting to kind of shape as, maybe trying to become like T1. But I think they'll take some time to gel, right? Like that's I guess what I'm trying to say is KT is going up against the continuity that Fox had been playing, except for the bottom lane. So I do think Fox will come out in today's game with more continuity and with a better identity, probably. Whereas KT, I think, will need some time to get used to it. But at the same time, KT's players are probably that much better in the bottom and mid lane. BD had a fantastic season last year as well, and Azir is still in the meta. So I do think the bottom half of the map should be dominated by KT. So as long as Pyosik really plays up to par, I think KT really should be able to win this pretty easily. But I can also see Pyosik struggle, and Fox's identity shows up and be more consistent in terms of gameplay and objectives and all that. So I can see Fox potentially upset KT as well. I have Fox as one of the potential playoff teams. I have them much higher than Fred and Breon in the power rankings for the LCK. So eventually, I think they'll figure it out and they'll have some upsets as underdogs. I don't know if that's going to be today, but I am willing to play them in the main GPP as a big underdog. But ultimately, if I have to choose a winner, I'm gonna go with KT, and I do think this is gonna be the higher kill upside match, in my opinion, because as you can see, KT played really fast last year. Probably one of the fastest teams in the LCK last year, going up against Liv Sandbox, who was also bloody. Closer and Willer. I mean, I've seen some games last year where they would just go in and in and in over and over and over. So I can totally see, I think the long stack will come out of this game in the optimal DFS lineup build. So I'll focus on that, and that's my 2 cents for today's slate. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I think that's all I got. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. I think D plus Kia is I'm pretty sure that they're gonna win in that first matchup, and then I'll just play maybe both teams in the second matchup with higher kill upside. But yeah, let me see if I got any questions in the chat. Yeah. So if I think one of the comments I got just now is if I can post the stats and numbers that I used to post last year in my videos, I will do that probably in a couple weeks when I have data. Obviously these are the first games and the season openers for all the teams respectively. So I don't really have the data that I can support. I guess what I'm claiming. Except for a few things. It depends on what the roster is and the new team is and all that. Obviously, in a couple of weeks, I'll have more metrics and data, so I'll use them and I'll share them with you, and I'll decide. I'll share some of them with you in the video, but I'll share all of them or most of them in. I'll share all of them in the premium channel or premium website section for TrueDFS, because that's who I'm working for, for these League of Legends contents. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It means a lot. That keeps me going and motivated to, generate these, post these contents every day. Like I said, go check out TrueDFS. Chan's LOL contents for any top plays and favorite bets and so forth. So yeah, hope you enjoy the video. Good luck out there. Hope you take it down. So yeah, have a good one. Bye bye.